The Old Man and the Blood, Part 2. I looked at the old woman and the child in her hands with suspicion, and I asked her why the doctor was asking for all these tests for the little girl. I did not understand. The old woman replied in a strange voice, saying, "She is my son's daughter, and she is sick, and we want to check on her." I looked at her with suspicion, but I have no help. I will have to draw a blood sample for the child, as I have no business where it comes from. I brought the girl. I am only a blood specialist for the patient, and I have no concern about where they brought him from. Even if they brought him from the morgue, who would care? The little girl was sleeping in her arms in a disturbing way, but her face was blue. She looked at me and said nervously, "She is sleeping so you can take the sample from her without disturbing her." I looked at the little girl nervously in her hands. The girl is not feeling well. Is her breathing slow, or am I imagining it? Oh my God, I don't know. I gently held her arm in my hands as I searched for a vein for her. I began to feel her veins, but the girl's hand was cold as ice. I felt the vein approaching the tip of the syringe, and I was about to insert it into her vein. I felt that something bad would happen now. I don't know why, but it would happen. And here the girl opened her eyes once, so I gasped in horror and threw the syringe on the ground and walked away in horror. Her eyes were completely white, and there was no black in them. The girl's eyes were terrifying and frightening. They were all white and had no other color. They were causing tension and fear in the soul. And here the old woman said in a strange voice, "The girl is blind. Don't be afraid of her. She won't do anything to you." Here I moved away from her in fear, saying in a loud voice, "I apologize to you. I will not draw a blood sample from that child unless her mother and father are present. Go to another laboratory if you want." The old woman smiled and showed her yellow, corroded teeth in front of her, saying maliciously, "But she chose you, doctor, and loved you." I felt the tension and anxiety of that old woman, so I shouted at her, "Go, and do not come back here again. Do you understand? If you come back, I will call the police. Come on, please, get out of here now." I really lost my temper on that fateful night. The old woman took the little girl, and she was angry and did not speak. But the little girl opened her eyes again, and they were completely white. Her mouth showed her sharp, pointy teeth soaked in blood as she smiled. Here I felt terrified and sat on the nearest seat nervously. And then my colleague came out from inside and said sarcastically, "Is she the same psycho, Manar, who comes every day and bothers you?" I shook my head yes, but I did not respond. So what was occupying my mind now was catching up with that woman and finding out where she would take the little girl and what she would do with her. I threw my medical coat on the seat and said to my colleague anxiously, "I will be back shortly. Please do not tell anyone that I am gone, Sahar. It is a matter of life and death." My colleague Sahar looked nervous as she asked, "What happened, Manar? Tell me, is there something wrong?" Manar responded nervously, saying, "It's my mother, Sahar. She is sick, and they called me. I have to go and see her. Please cover my absence. Only half an hour. I will not be late." Then she left quickly. I tried to catch up with the old woman and the little girl. Surprisingly, the old woman was still standing in front of the factory door and giving me her back while she was carrying the little girl, who was. Her head and face were towards me, as if she was waiting for someone And here the little girl smiled, and her sharp, strangely shaped teeth appeared. Do children at this age have full, pointed teeth? The girl was as if she was laughing at someone, so would she laugh? I hate children, and I will continue to hate them until I die. I cut off my arm. That little girl sees, but how when she has those white eyes? Then the old woman moved, as if what she was waiting for had come, so I shook my head. Does that old woman know that I will go after her? What a disaster. What do I do now? The old woman walked on that long road, and the girl still turned her head to Manar, and that ugly smile did not leave her mouth as she looked with her white eyes. I don't know. I walked behind her for more than half an hour on that long, smelly road, and here I wondered if I would be able to return to my work again. I don't know how. I did that, and how did I walk all that distance while looking into the girl's eyes, as if I was hypnotized? And here the old woman turned to me, Willie. The old woman saw me, and I saw her smiling her ugly smile as she approached me with her slow steps and hit the ground with her wooden crutch until she was in front of me. I tried to escape, but I could not, so no one blames me, for I do not know what happened to me. The little girl turned around, extended her arm, and caught me. Here the old woman moved again, and I moved with them, holding the little girl's hand as if I was asleep and felt nothing. The girl was dragging me behind her like her pet. I did not feel anything until I woke up and I was tied to one of the seats with a dirty, smelly place around me. She was sitting on one of the seats in front of me, and the little girl was sitting on another seat and was still smiling her ugly smile. Here the old woman said sarcastically, "Will you sell me blood?" I couldn't answer her, saying, "Where is the blood, you psycho? I'm not in the factory. Don't you see this?" I said to her in pain, "But I am not in the factory now to sell you anything." Here she smiled maliciously, saying, "Who would want a little clotted, not fresh, useless blood? And here I have more than 5 liters of fresh blood." So I said to her in horror, "What do you mean, old woman?" "I mean your blood, you idiot. That little girl needs blood to be able to live and live. I asked you to give me blood, but you refused. You said that you would burn her in a pyre, and today I have no other solution. I will drain your blood for the sake of the little girl. She loved you, and your blood. You are the only one who smiled at you, and here." I looked at the child, and she was still smiling, showing her yellow pointy teeth, soaked in blood, and her white eyes. I hate children and old people so much, and I will continue to hate them until I die. And here I screamed in horror, as that crazy woman stuck her syringe in my arm to filter the blood. Oh my God, it hurts.